It's that time of the year where I introduce you to my setup of Todoist as it stands right now, late 2023. So the question is, has anything changed since earlier this year? Well, probably not a lot, but what I do want to do is to explain how my system works overall, and you can decide whether my system is going to work for you. That, I think, is probably the best way to do this video, so let's get in and get started. First up, let's discuss how I collect all my stuff into Todoist. Well, my primary collection tool is my trusty iPhone. This goes this does go everywhere I go. It's always with me, it's always going to be close by, even when I'm driving, when I'm asleep, it's always there, and I've got a way to capture stuff into my system at the touch of a button. And earlier this year, or maybe later last year, Todoist introduced a very fantastic way of being able to capture stuff directly into our phone by just tapping a simple button on the lock screen, so I can get straight into it. Just tap there, straight into Todoist, and I can add a task. And I generally use my dictation to do that. Now, when I'm working on my computer, it's a little bit different. I have a keyboard shortcut and I have set that up for Shift Command A. Now, I use A because in my mind I'm thinking add. So Shift Command A on my Mac. On Windows, of course, it'd be a little bit different, but I set it up so it's a global keyboard shortcut. This means it doesn't matter where I am in my computer. I could be writing, I could be editing a video, whatever I may be doing, Shift Command A, bang, I'm in quick entry into Todoist. Because without having a super fast way of getting stuff into Todoist, I am going to resist. I'm going to start trusting my brain, thinking, no, I'll remember that. And I generally don't, and so it just breaks my system. So I call this my primary collection tool, because this is essentially where 90% of what I'm collecting is coming from, and then my computer is where I actually collect everything else, particularly when I'm sat at my desk. Next up, how do I use labels? Now, labels have become a critical part of how I organize my Todoist, because my labels match my time blocks on my calendar. So if you look here, I'll just close down the filters for a moment. If you look here, I have writing, projects, audio, visual, clients, communication, planning, admin, and chores. I have 8 and no more than 8. I'm not interested in 2-minute, 5-minute, 30-minute and 1-hour tasks. That's just ridiculous. I'm not, because you're just adding labels for the sake of labels. And who knows, a task, what's the difference between a 2-minute and a 5-minute task anyway? But the key thing here is these are the categories of work that I have to do. I create content, I deal with clients, and I also have to deal with admin, of course, I run a business, and chores. So all of these things are related to the work I do. Now, I don't generally keep a lot of personal stuff in here, but anything related to personal is likely to come under admin, chores, or projects, of course. You know, if my wife has asked me to take down the exterior lights ready for the winter, you know, that's going to be a project because it does take quite a long time. Now, when I've got down here is, if you look at my calendar, you're going to see that I have on my calendar time blocks that actually match these areas. So you can see I've got writing time, I've got admin time, communication time, and I've also got project work. So audio-visual time as well is on there. So my categories of work are all matching to my labels in Todoist. This means when I come to my today is going to show you all my tasks that I've got to do today based on those categories. So as you can see here, I've got writing at the top, then communications, then admin, then chores. Now, the thing is, you can order these, because people always ask me about this. How do you get them in that order? You can order them via your labels. All you have to do is drag, and you can move them around wherever you want to do them, and I can put them in order of my own personal priority. Sure, maybe you'd say clients should be up at the top. Well, yeah, but I don't get that many requests from clients. But I do have a lot of writing, projects work, and audio visual. This recording this video is an audio-visual task. So that's how I have that set up from my labels, if you like. Now, people ask me about my filters, and I'm going to show you my favorites. You'll notice that I have three favorites in my favorites list. This is actually a workflow from that I'm working from. And what you'll see right here is I've got three objectives today. It's unusual, I normally only have two. Now the three objectives, these must be done. These are my must-do tasks. This is where I start the day every morning when I'm doing my morning routines. This is what I look at. I'm not interested in all the other stuff I have to do. I only want to know what are my must-dos today. That's the critical question I'm asking. So every day I will start with my today's objectives. That gives me clarity on what needs to be done today. Once I've done that, I can then move into today's focus. And today's focus essentially is everything except my routines, essentially. So anything that's got a flag, if you like. And if you look at that, I've got 8 tasks in there today. I operate something called the 2+8. I'm kind of breaking that rule a little bit today because I've got 3 objectives. Normally it should be 2. But sending money to FES doesn't take long, but it must be done today. So this is essentially how my day is looking, and I'm pretty comfortable with that. I know everything will be done within this section. So that's how I'm operating my labels and my favorites. Now, if you're curious about my favorites and of these filters that I'm using, I'm going to put them in the show notes below so you can just copy and paste them into your own Todoist. Now, one question I'm always getting is, where are your projects? My projects are always in my Notes app. You see, David Allen says that everybody has between 30 and 120 projects. That's 30 and 120 lists that you have in Todoist. You've just created overwhelm for yourself. Tasks it's gonna take forever to clear your inbox. It's just a nightmare scenario. And before anyone asks, yes, I did spend about 6 years operating like that. And I used to spend an hour every day just organizing the stuff that I collected because it took me forever to go through the folders to find the right folder to put the task in. I only have 6 folders to deal with now. Clearing my inbox takes no time at all. But what do I do with my projects? Well, I don't actually have anything set up in this one, but let me just show you from here. Add this to my time sector system book. Now, this is a book that I'm writing, as you may know, is coming out early next year. But what I do have here is a note that I created. All I do is I put the project note in there. I can just tap on that and it will open up the note that I want to show. And there's just some stuff that I want to add into the book. That's how I do it. It's just quick, it's simple, and all I have to do is click on it. Similarly, as you can see down here, I've got Do This with Neil Patel's Uber Suggest. Again, it's a website that I just need to look at and deal with. I can click on that, it takes me straight to the website, and also the same with the Global Gurus. I've got to do the same thing there, click on and move on to it. As you can see, everything actually has a label in there, and it's just easy to do. Todoist basically acts as my hub. Tells me what I need to do. My calendar tells me I've got time for it, and bang, I can click on that, go straight to the project note, and I'm ready to just start the work. And that's essentially how it all comes together. The critical thing for me is that Todoist each day is clean and tight. I don't want to see tasks that maybe need doing today, possibly could be done next week. I don't want to see any of those tasks. I operate using my filtered views there. I begin at today's objectives. I spend most of the day in today's focus. And at the end of the day, I look at tomorrow's focus to check that that is still relevant based on what my calendar says I'm scheduled for tomorrow. And that's it. I'm not in and out of Todoist all day. I probably look at it maybe 3 or 4 times a day, more so in the evening just to check that I've done everything that I plan to do. But it is just a tool that helps me not to forget stuff that I've committed to. And that's the way I look at Todoist. Anything that goes into Todoist is something I've committed to. My inbox is a second filter, if you like, because when I look at my inbox, I then decide, is this worthy of getting into my system? I don't treat everything as being important, and that's a critical thing. If you treat everything important, you are going to overwhelm yourself. But I know what my areas of focus are, I know what my core work is, I know what my priorities are before I start the day. If you haven't done that back-end work, like identifying your areas of focus and knowing what your core work is, then it's going to be very difficult to understand what is and what is not important. This has come about after years of fine-tuning and developing and evolving, and that's how this system has evolved. I never ever get stressed out about my work because I'm very clear about what needs to get done each day. But really, I am more planning for the week. What do I want to get accomplished this week rather than what I'm trying to get accomplished in a day? Because I know I'm going to have a bad day. Now, if you're interested in what my system looked like earlier this year, then this video here is the video I suggest you watch next.